Hello and welcome to the Winchester Archive Supernatural Podcast. I'm Ed.
I'm Brooke.
Today we're discussing Season 1, Episode 10 of Asylum. But before we get going, quick spoiler warning as always, we are connecting dots from across the entire series. So if you're watching Supernatural for the first time or haven't finished the series yet, consider this your warning. We will be spoiling plenty of future things. Finally, an explicit content warning. We are adults talking about an adult show that deals with dark and sensitive topics. So expect adult language, mature discussion, and dark humor.
All right, so getting into the episode specs here, the air date was November 22nd, 2005. This was written by Richard Haddam, directed by Guy B. And the supporting cast is Brooke Nevin as Catherine and Nicholas D'Augusto as Gavin. As our synopsis here, Sam has a nightmare that is actually a prophetic dream. This is not right.
hmm
Backing up, I'm gonna make this up on the fly.
Do you want to pause and just do a quick one?
Nope.
All right, we're doing it live.
Yes. Hmm. Dean receives a text message with coordinates that he assumes is from their dad, since we know from Wendigo, John likes to leave them coordinates to go places.
hmm
The coordinates take them to a small town that has a haunted asylum. Turns out there is a mad doctor ghost who possesses people into manifesting their anger so much to a point where they want to just kill the person that they are mad at. So the
hmm
tension here is rising more between the brothers, mostly about following dad's orders versus like just finding him.
hmm
And then in the end, they get a phone call. Dean is asleep. Sam wakes up and answers it, and we are left with a cliffhanger of him saying, like, Dad.
Yeah. It's a very good cliffhanger.
With that said, you can listen to us on all major podcast platforms along with and watch along on YouTube. If you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/Winchester Archives Podcast. There are a ton of perks from our Discord community to monthly digital art to bonus episodes titled The Archive Addendum.
And as always, we're accepting stories as well to add to our field research episodes. We want to get going here soon, where we can share your stories written by our listeners. If you have any hometown legends, ghost hunting stories, cryptid encounters, or anything else from your supernatural life, send them our way at winchesterarchivespodcast@gmail.com. We are also on Instagram and TikTok at Winchester Archives Pod. Also, you can rate us 5 stars or whatever else you can do, like upvote on like YouTube and stuff. You can like the video, all that fun stuff. Do all the things, click all the buttons because that really helps us get our stuff out to more people.
But all right, let's dive into our episode overview. I don't have much to say about this recap except it's like just about finding their dad. It really hints at like we are finding John soon.
Yeah, it's very
Hopefully.
much pushing us in that direction.
Yes. So then we go into the POV of where the crime or haunting is taking place. So we're
hmm
in Roosevelt Asylum in Rockford, Illinois. There is a lot of keep out and condemned signs, but somebody is just walking around anyway with a
hmm
flashlight and they cut bolts on a door. And
Yep.
now and now the police are here. And fun fact about this asylum is it's actually an abandoned asylum in Vancouver.
Oh,
So
that's
this
cool.
yeah, so this isn't a set. And then we get a lore drop within the first 5 minutes of the episode. Cop
hmm
1 says every town has its legends, and for this one, they say the asylum is haunted by the ghost of patients, which drive humans insane. And so now they're inside looking for whoever broke in. Then they come across like that door, and cop 1 says, "You're telling me these kids brought bolt cutters?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Once that happens, like, when do you call backup? Because like, do kids really just
mhm,
bring bolt cutters into an abandoned asylum? That seems like a little bit more,
I agree. Yes, but no, they keep going anyway. Well, they actually split up.
which is always a bad idea in any horror adjacent media franchise.
Yes, it definitely is. So cop 1 actually finds the kids, the cop.
So, apparently the kids did just bring bolt cutters.
They did. But cop 2 here is just having a bad time. His
Mhm.
flashlight goes out, and then the door creaks open, and then it just, like, cuts to them being outside now, but something is clearly wrong with Cop 2 here. He's talking very monotone and, like, kinda staring out into space, and his nose is bleeding.
Yeah, we're basically just left with a scene of just, "Oh god, what happens next?" And then honestly was shocked by the next scene. I was just like, "Oh, I didn't think we were going that in."
Mhm. Yeah, me too. So, here we find out Cop 2, his name is Walt. And his wife and him had recently been in an argument, and she asked him like, "Oh, are you still not talking to me?" And she's talking about how she said she was sorry and how many times does she have to say it. And then Walt just shoots her,
Mhm.
or we can assume because it fades to black, but there were 2 shots. So it's
Yeah.
unclear if it was just her and him or her twice,
Yeah. We
but
find out later in the episode that it was both, but
yes, we do. At
still
that point though, we
gruesome.
don't know. Yeah, it's just, like, crazy. We're like, "Okay, what's going on with this guy?"
Hell of a cold open though. Like it really like
Mhm.
sets the tone of just like, "Oh shit."
Yes, it does. It's a lot like Skin,
Mhm.
the opening to that one.
That was still such a good open.
Mhm.
We'll talk about it more in the mid-season review the episode after this one.
Yes, agreed. So now we are with the brothers. It starts with Sam on the phone, with John's ammunition dealer asking if he's seen John, and of course the answer is no. So he says, like, "Call if you hear anything." Then he
Mhm.
says, Caleb, Jefferson, and Pastor Jim haven't heard from John, and there are no leads in his journal.
John's MIA, except for, the psychic that he was with literally last episode that his boys were also with.
Yes, and she didn't tell them either.
Yeah, which is insane. But whatever.
Yes. Sam even says at this point, he could be dead for all we know, but we mentioned, or you mentioned last episode, we know he's not because his voicemail keeps getting updated
Mhm.
with these new phone numbers.
Yep.
But conveniently, at this point, Dean receives a text message from an unknown number with coordinates. And I said Wendigo earlier, but it's actually the pilot episode where they get
Yeah.
the coordinates from their dad.
Mhm.
And Dean here has confirmed by looking up the town that the cop killed himself and his wife. And he explained that their dad had earmarked the asylum in his journal, so he knows that this text is from their dad as somewhere to go. Funny enough, here, when Dean pulls out the journal, we see the Wendigo, but this is a continuity error because in the Wendigo episode, the page next to it is the symbols that they draw out in the episode, not the asylum. And in our notes, I posted a picture of it so you
Yeah,
could
which is
see it.
hilarious that, like, they flip to the same page. Like, yeah, just, like, slap this on there.
Hmm.
Like, I wonder if it's, like, supposed to be, like, in continuity, the boys, like, are messing like, moving around the journal and, like, reorganizing it, or if it was just like a, "Nope, that's where it's always been," and it's just a continuity error.
Um,
That's funny.
I would like to think in universe, maybe they're moving stuff around. That would make the most sense. But in real life, uh, somebody had said in an interview they lost the original journal, so they had to like
Mm.
remake it. And you can tell there are like slight differences on that Wendigo page.
Oh,
Like it's
okay.
not drawn the same and stuff.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we can.
Also, just in universe as well, another question I had about this is too is just like, why does their dad send them here? 'Cause at the end of the day, nothing really happens here. Like, why send them here? And also, why from a random new number? Like, it's just so weird.
It is.
And like, if it's someone else, who is sending them here and for what reason? Like, it's not like this is like that big of a deal in terms of like mission to go on.
Who knows?
Yeah.
John
John
is
works
an
in
enigma.
mysterious ways, just
Yes.
like God and his plan about sending them to this random place for funsies.
Hmm.
Also, apologies if you hear squeaking in the background. Our dog just got a new toy, and he's excited.
Yeah. So once again, Sam is asking questions and pushing back, asking if this makes sense and why would dad do that? And then he's upset that their dad is sending them on a job instead of meeting up with them, which is all
Fair.
valid. Yes. And Dean just says, Sam, dad's telling us to go somewhere. We're going. Like point blank, period, end of story. And Sam just has like a look on his face like he's a child when a parent says, like, I'm the parent, so I said so.
Again, reasonable.
Like, yeah, he just feels like dismissed and sad that Dean still has this loyalty to their dad.
Yeah, and, like, right now, in undeserved loyalty, he's quite literally, like, abandoned them and rejected them, like, on multiple occasions at this point. Like I said, they were in the same town, in the same building last episode.
Now they're at a pub, and cop one, we find out his name is Daniel. Dean pretends to be a journalist and he says he wants to ask him questions about his partner. What's funny is this time he can't pretend to be a cop because the cop is who is involved.
Mhm.
I love how the brothers here are playing like good cop, bad cop, kind of. Like the
Yeah,
cop.
it's amazing.
Mhm. It's like the cop doesn't want to talk to Dean, so he keeps pushing. And
Mhm.
so Sam comes over and shoves him and says to treat the cop with some respect. And then he buys the cop a beer.
Which works, which I thought was, like, a great plan. Like, that's so good when they do, like, stuff like this
Mhm.
because 'cause I'm just like, "That's such a smart thing to do." That's how you instantly build trust for this guy to, like, tell you the actual story.
Mhm. It is. Now we do like a time skip to Dean outside, and Dean immediately says Sam shoved him a bit too hard, to which Sam says it's called method acting, and Dean is like, "What?" Like, "What is
Mhm.
that?" And just to explain here quickly, method acting is a technique where performers use their personal experiences to embody the emotions of their character. Like, kind of the point is to be so relaxed and raw, you can draw your emotions to immerse yourself into your performance.
Mhm.
Which is funny because basically what Sam is saying here is he thought of all of his anger towards Dean or his dad to do
Yeah,
that.
and just let it out a little bit to, like, make it feel real
Yes.
because it was real.
Mhm. It was. But Dean lets that go and he just asks Sam what they found out. And he said Sam says Walt was a good cop, head of his class, and even keeled. And he and his wife had a good life besides some fights, like every couple has.
Mhm.
And then the cops, and like Daniel says a lot about the asylum as well. To which we cut to them hopping the fence with their car parked right outside of it.
Mhm.
And then it the camera zooms in on a keep out sign,
Yeah,
and
like, which
just
again, more trespassing, like usual.
and now we find out that the south wing is the heart of all of the issues. So Sam says they must keep it chained up to keep people out, and then Dean says, or to keep something in.
Dun, dun, dun.
So naturally they go inside.
Yeah,
Or I'll say as in my notes, I wrote they supernaturally go inside.
which I both love and hate. When I read that, I was just like, of course you would write that." That's, like, the most pun nonsense ever, but it's great.
Just because I put super in like parentheses.
Mhm. It's great.
So here, Dean tells Sam to be careful because ghosts like ESP, and Sam says it's not ESP. He just has strange vibes and weird dreams.
Yeah,
Although, I'm just gonna say it, ESP is precognition. Like one example of it is precognition, which is the ability to perceive the future events before they occur, which is definitely what Sam does.
yeah, and the only note I had on this too about ESP is basically that exact thing, where that's what ESP is. Quite literally what is happening with Sam.
To which Dean says, "Don't ask, don't tell," which made me like roll my eyes. I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
But it really does seem here like Dean is fishing for information, right?
100%. He's trying to get more info about what the hell is going on with Sam and his
Yeah.
psychic ass.
hmm But Sam just like ignores all of this and he's asking Dean if he's getting any EVP readings, and Dean is not. And Sam says ghosts only come out during the certain time of day, and Dean confirms they only come out at night, which me and saying is not true. If something is haunted, it's haunted 24/7. Our brains just like go more crazy at night.
Yeah, no, 100%. If things are haunted, they would make no logical sense for them to be any more active at night versus not, other than our minds tend to get more heightened at night, like
Mhm.
our paranoia and our like instinctual things of like hearing and noticing things is like on edge more at night because that's like an
Mhm.
instinctual thing of being afraid of the dark, something embedded in us. Kind of talked about that with last episode with like all like the monsters under the bed, stuff
Yeah.
like that. And that's kind of like why people see more things at night in terms of like supernatural things because you're on edge more, so you're probably interpreting everything as like, what is that?
Yeah. Exactly. But maybe where you can say in this universe, ghosts only come out at a certain time of day.
We'll see when as we continue on with our episodes. I'm waiting for the one where there's a ghost in the daylight, and I'll be like, "Ha, you're wrong."
So as they're still walking down this hallway, this is such a
Man,
funny line. It made me laugh. Dean says, "Sam, who do you think is hotter, Patricia Arquette or Jennifer Love Hewitt? Or you?" And Patricia Arquette is from the TV show Medium, and Jennifer Love Hewitt was in the TV show Ghost Whisperer. And what's even more funny is both of these shows also came out in 2005.
mhm,
So this tells me these shows exist in universe and they watch them.
yeah, and it's this is one thing I love about Supernatural specifically, and I mentioned this a lot when we're talking about Dean and his like random quips, which we'll get to in the next scene too, which I had a blast with when I watched it. But I love that everything is canon, including like this show is also a thing in universe too. So
Mhm,
all of these shows are on TV. It's just they're also watching these shows, and it's like that. I just love the meta ness of it, and like especially later on. Because spoiler for
mhm,
way down the road, the Scooby Doo episode is one of my favorite episodes of all time,
mhm.
and I love that that's even a thing. Like that is just so meta and so weird, but it's so good.
True.
And I love that it's constantly like that, and, like, Dean constantly references pop culture things that just, like, make the world feel a lot more grounded and also his character feel a lot more grounded as, like, a real person with, like, real interests.
Yes, exactly. I agree. And in an interview once, Jared Padalecki said that Scooby Natural was his favorite episode.
It's just so good because also I love that it's very this is, like, a way a tangent, but it's still, I think, worth talking about. I love that it, like, takes the Scooby Doo formula, but also makes it supernatural. It doesn't make it all,
Mhm.
like it doesn't turn supernatural into Scooby Doo, it does the opposite, where it's, like,
Yes.
very gritty and real, but, like, Scooby Doo. And it's like, "What is this?" So
Yes.
good. Also, I might be
Exactly.
biased because Scooby Doo was, like, my favorite show growing up as a kid, so
Yeah, I loved it too. So yeah, that'll be a fun episode when we eventually get there.
yeah, 6 years from now or whatever.
Mhm. So at this point, Dean asks Sam if the ghosts are possessing people, and Sam says maybe, but it could be also the ghosts making people go insane. Like example in Amityville Horror, that's what they
Mhm.
say in the episode, but it's also so true. And Dean says, like my man Jack from The Shining, because it just made me laugh because it's like, yes, Dean, that is correct, just like your
Yeah.
man Jack.
What makes it even better, I think, is before he says that line, he goes, "Lobotomies, electroshock therapy, they really did a number on these people, like my boy Jack in the Cuckoo's Nest," and gives a
Mhm.
cheesy smile to Sam, who then doesn't respond. So then he does the same kind of joke by being like, "Oh, you make they go insane, like my man Jack from The Shining." Because like,
Yes.
he, like, reiterates the joke to try to get a laugh out of Sam or a reaction out of Sam, and then he immediately looks just so, like, disheartened when he just, like, ignores him twice. He's just like, "Oh, like, that was a good one."
It
And I'm just like, "I love you so much, Dean."
I thought that was very funny too. I
Like,
don't
he just wants attention
He does. Sam should have given him, like, a little chuckle.
or a smirk or something. Give him something.
Yeah,
He's clearly trying so hard.
yeah. But, Sam literally doesn't care because all he says back is, "When are we gonna talk about the fact that dad isn't here?"
Mhm.
To which Dean says, "Let me see, never." And then Dean just says, "Dad wants them to be here, so they are here."
Mhm.
And Sam says, "It truly doesn't even matter what dad wants."
No, fair.
And then Dean is trying to lighten the mood and says, "That mindset right there is why I always got the extra cookie." Like, he's trying to be funny,
Mhm.
but Sam doesn't care. He just says they should be looking for him because he could be in trouble and this is their family. And then Dean says dad gave them an order. And Sam says, "So we always have to follow his orders?" And Dean says, "Of course we do." And my personal thoughts, is I am so sad for Dean right now because
Mhm.
he is like 26 years old, almost 27, and he thinks he still has to do whatever his dad tells him to do for any kind of affection.
Mhm.
And Sam doesn't agree. They do what they both do best and just like move on and don't talk about it again. And
Yeah, they're very bad at, communicating their emotions to each other.
yes, like they say little tidbits and then they're like, not going to talk about that. And then they just like move on.
Yeah.
But maybe they should just get it all out,
Mhm.
which maybe, which maybe Sam did in this next scene because Sam
Yeah.
goes to therapy, but he goes there to find out information about the psychiatrist's father. So he starts asking questions, but the doctor says they're here on Sam's time to talk about him. And truly, Sam could benefit from some therapy,
Yeah.
and so could Dean.
Oh, yeah.
So Sam stops answering his questions to ask more about the asylum, which the doctor says he's avoiding talking about himself, which is true.
Mhm.
And then the doctor says, "I'll tell you about the Roosevelt riot if you tell me something honest about yourself. The brother you're road tripping with, how do you feel about him?" And then it does a fade to black. We
Mhm.
don't know what happened. But then when Sam comes out, Dean mentions he was in there forever. So can we assume that he actually does the therapy session?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's very definitely what's happening.
So Sam found out that the South Wing housed the real hard cases. And then in 1964, the patients rioted because of all the unethical treatment they were getting.
Mhm.
And they were attacking the staff members and each other, and some died, and some of the bodies were never recovered. And it's speculated they were just like hidden in the building and never found,
Mhm.
including the psychiatrist's father. So
Which
now
is
they're,
morbid as hell. Like, taking the bodies, just putting them somewhere in there, and then no one's gone through and found them.
and wouldn't it like smell?
Yeah. There'd be rotting bodies.
Like, I know it's brick and brick wall, but you would have had to like get a hole in it and put them in there.
Yeah, unless it was, like, just closed down immediately after, I guess, and it's been abandoned since. But even then, that doesn't seem legit, like, they would just leave it there to rot.
And like people are constantly breaking in
Yeah, that's
and
true
going all
too.
over the place. So I don't know. I feel like this is a stretch, but we're gonna keep going with it.
Mhm.
They plan on going back
I
to
mean, it
the
turns out to be true.
it does. So they're planning on going back to the hospital that evening. But now we see a young couple on a date, and their date is looking around the asylum.
Which what kinda date?
Well, the girl even questions that.
Mhm.
Her name is Catherine, and she says, "I thought you said we were going to the movies." Which Gavin says, "This is better. It's like we're in the movie." I said, "Girl, red flag. Turn around, go home. Never talk to him again."
Yeah, that's disturbing. Because like, what do you mean we're in a horror movies? I mean, you're gonna kill me in here? That'd be my first
Mhm.
thought.
Yes, exactly. But she doesn't listen to me, and she goes with him. Although she does stand her ground and says she doesn't want to go into a creepy room. So he goes in by himself. And Gavin says, "Nothing will get you, I promise," as he leaves and goes into the room and the
Yeah.
door shuts on its own.
Mhm.
And Catherine starts hearing noises, and then his flashlight goes out, and then he sees Catherine creepily standing behind. Well, we see Catherine creepily staring behind him. And then
Nope.
she walks up to him and starts kissing him, and then we hear Catherine yell for him in the other room. Then he pulls back, and it's actually a decaying body with a blonde wig on.
Which is, I think, such a good. This is like this episode. Spoiler: alert, this episode we rated fairly highly in our ratings because of
Mhm,
things like this. I thought this scene was done very well and did its job very well. Because even in the moment
mhm.
I was watching it, I was like, "Oh no!" When I heard her scream, and then when they did the shot of the zombie basically or the ghost being like the decayed body. I was like, "Oh god, that is like shocking." Like it was an effective jump scare.
Yes, it really was. And so now the brothers are here at the asylum, and Dean's doing EVP, and it's going off crazy. And Dean says they need to find all the bodies and bird them.
Mhm.
And fake Catherine just walked behind them, and they missed it.
Womp womp.
And then the camera pans over to a man in a straitjacket, just like flailing around.
Again, a very good shot and a very
Yes.
effective jump scare. Like this whole the sped up camera thing, always like the where like the head just like crosses around at like inhuman speeds. It's always
Mhm.
effective. It's always looked so good.
Mhm.
I think.
Yes. And I found out that that was actually done in camera. It wasn't post
Oh,
editing.
neat.
Because basically they were like, we shoved the actor under a cart and they had him move his head normally, but they changed like the frame rate.
Ah,
And more technical stuff was done, and they talk about it on the Then and Now podcast. But nonetheless, it's still like super cool that they did that all
yeah,
in camera.
that's really dope.
So now we see Sam looking through a room and a ghost comes up behind him and Sam starts yelling for Dean to grab his shotgun
Mhm.
and Dean shoots the ghost. But now Sam is saying that the ghost didn't want to hurt him. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing too. I was like, "Ooh, a wrinkle to the situation."
Yes. And now they find real Catherine hidden behind a table. And she said she's seen ghosts and she's heard Gavin scream, but she can't find him. And she refuses to leave the building without him. So Dean suggests they split up.
Again, very bad idea in any horror adjacent show.
Yes.
Um, and also, I think it'd be horrifying for her to see 2 big guys with a shotgun walking around a corner too.
Yes. Then she's like, okay, I'll just go with you though.
Yeah. I mean, if you started seeing ghosts and shit, like, I don't know, you'd probably be very trusting of the first, like, human you see regardless.
Mm-hmm. True. And Catherine goes with Dean, and then Sam is alone.
Smart.
Yeah, I think that's smart too. Dean tells her next time she watches a horror movie to actually pay attention, and the next time someone tells her to go into a haunted place to not go in.
Mhm. Good advice.
Yeah. And then Sam finds Gavin laying on the floor, seemingly passed out, but he wakes up very quickly. And Gavin tells Sam the girl he kissed, but it didn't hurt him physically, and it whispered something in his ear, but he doesn't know what. And now
Yeah,
Dean
another weird wrinkle.
Yes. And now Dean's flashlight goes out. Catherine says Dean is hurting her arm, but he isn't even holding it. We see some random hand there. And then she gets thrown into a room and the door slams shut and locked. And there is a creepy ghost behind her. Dean is trying to save the day, but the door won't budge at all. And
Mhm.
Sam comes running down saying it won't hurt her. It just wants to communicate. So she needs to face it and hear it out.
Which is, like, a really wild request in this situation. Just stand
Mhm.
there and let the ghost tell you its secrets. Like,
Yes.
I will do my best.
Right. She does it though, and the door unlocks.
Mhm.
And then Kat says it whispered 137, and they assume it's a room number.
Fair
So,
assumption.
mhm. So Dean is going to find the room, and Sam is escorting Gavin and Kat out of the asylum. Then we get some little bantery dialogue here. So Kat asks Sam why anyone would want a job like this. And he says, I had a bad guidance counselor. And then she asks, is Dean your boss? Which I thought was so funny.
Yes.
But although I do want to point out later in the show, via flashbacks, we do see that Sam actually did have a great guidance counselor. So I think he was referring to John
Yeah.
in this moment.
Or
And
you're just trying to make a fun joke to the kids, like to make their spirits
mhm,
better, you know?
that's true. And then we go to Dean, and he is in the room, and it's a huge mess. Then we go to Sam, and he's trying to get them out, but all the doors are locked. Sam says something in here doesn't want them to leave, and he doesn't think it's the patients. Then we go back to Dean, and he finds an old briefcase with patient files, which naturally he just sits down to read in the middle of a haunted place. He's like, we're just going to sit here and read these.
Which is weird because that's usually a Sam thing.
Then going back to Sam, he's like, there's no other way out, but he needs to get back to Dean. So he asks if either of them can handle a shotgun. And Gavin says no, but Kat says she can.
Badass.
Yes. So Sam hands her the gun that's loaded with rock salt to repel spirits.
Mhm.
Sam gets a phone call from Dean saying to come down to the basement to,
Mhm.
to see him. So Sam is headed down there now, and he's yelling Dean like Luigi does in Luigi's Mansion for Mario. And he has then his flashlight goes out, and a door opens on its own, so he walks into it.
Mhm.
And we see a shadow behind a curtain, but nothing is there. And the doctor now grabs Sam's face, and his hands are all like electric.
Yeah, which I think is a cool it's a cool shot of, like, suddenly
Mhm.
it's there, and also it's, like it's really interesting to see, like, a different way of, like, not necessarily possessing him, but just, like, driving him crazy by using the same methods he did in life of, like, electroshock therapy,
Mhm.
basically, with his
Yes.
hands. Like, I was like, "That's a neat touch." And again, like, the makeup and, like, the everything for, like, the ghosts are really good this episode. Like,
Yes,
all
I
the effects around
agree.
them.
I really liked it. And Kat tells Gavin here if they make it out alive, they're breaking up.
You
And
know, fair.
it is. And then Dean comes around the corner, and Kat shoots at him because she thought it was a ghost.
Yeah.
And Dean asks where Sam is, and they say he went to the basement after Dean called. And then Dean says he didn't call him.
Dun, dun, dun.
So now they're going to the basement. And now it's Dean's turn to be Luigi.
Mhm.
That he finds Sam, but now Sam is being weird like the cop. But Dean hasn't picked up on it yet.
Yeah, he's starting to, like, has a nosebleed too, and we all know that that's a
Hmm.
reference to, "Uh-oh, something bad's gonna happen," from the
Yes.
earlier scene.
So Dean now starts hearing like breezy noises, implying there's a door. And Sam pulls out his gun on him, and his nose starts bleeding. And he told Dean to step away from the door. So now Dean knows Sam is like possessed here.
Mhm.
And and Sam actually shoots Dean with the rock salt after says he's tired of taking his orders.
Which, oh my god, that would suck.
Yes.
A shotgun blast of rock salt to the chest, like, he's got some bruises and probably a broken rib off that one.
Hmm.
Like,
Yes.
ow.
Although, what is great here of what's happening is this is a parallel to Skin, like
Mhm.
where Dean was being imitated and told his inner thoughts about Sam, and now
Yeah.
like Sam is possessed, saying his inner thoughts about Dean.
Yeah.
So
Really
like
good.
so far in the show, the brothers have had to be in like an abnormal state to say what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And what I
Healthy.
found And from what I've found out, this kind of continues for roughly 3 more seasons. And season 4 is where they really start talking about their issues with each other.
Mhm.
So after some arguing here, Dean hands Sam his his pistol and says it's loaded with actual bullets. And Dean says, "If you really hate me that much, you think you can kill your own brother? Come on and do it."
Yeah, and he's like, "This will be a little easier to do it with," and he gave him the gun
Mhm.
instead of his rock salt gun.
Yes. And Sam actually pulls the trigger about 3 times, but it's not
Mhm.
loaded. And then Dean says, "Man, I'm not gonna give you a loaded pistol," and then just, like, punches him.
Which I love that too. He's just like, "Man, I'm not gonna give you a loaded gun," and just punch him in the head. I'm like, "That's so."
Mhm.
It's so Dean too. It's like this character's just great.
Yes, it is.
He always has to give a quip in there before he does something.
So then Dean is looking for the hidden room to find the doctor's phones so he can light them up. The doctor is lurking around though. Dean finds a cabinet door, and when he opens it, he finds the doctor's body, and he's prepping to light it up. And his
Mhm.
flashlight goes out, and the doctor grabs him and sending electricity all through him. But Dean is able to grab the lighter and put it on the gas to torch the body. And then we see the doctor like fall apart. It's
Which
actually
I thought
pretty
was
cool.
so cool. Like, that was such a well done, uh,
Mhm.
effect compared to, like, some of the other effects they've done this season. Like, that one was nice to watch that doctor, like, to fall apart that way.
Yes, it really was. So Sam wakes up and Dean says, "You're not going to try to kill me, are you?" And Dean says, and Sam says, "No." Sam says he's sorry for saying all of those awful things and he didn't mean any of it and he couldn't control it.
Mhm.
And you can tell here that Dean doesn't really believe him, but he says he's not in a sharing mood, so they're not gonna talk about it. And then we flash forward to them at the motel. Dean is asleep and his cell phone starts ringing and Sam's trying to wake him up, but he won't wake up. So Sam answers the phone. And then the last line of the episode is Sam saying, "Dad?"
Yeah, which is such a good
Mhm.
cliffhanger, and it's such a good way to end off on, like, the mid-season finale that way.
Yes. Yes, it is. It really draws you wants you to come back when it picks
Yeah.
back up in the spring. Yeah, so that's the end of this episode. For their crime counter, the only thing I have is, trespassing in a condemned building, which is about 30 days in jail.
Yeah, nothing too severe this episode.
Nope. Now getting into our episode review or for our ratings, for story and pacing, we both gave it a 4. This
Yeah.
one was pretty good. It just kinda streamlined.
Yeah, it had good storytelling elements of, like I said, like, the callback to the nose bleeding so we know what's up,
Mhm.
with Sam, like, right before it even happened, like, that's good foreshadowing, good, like, callback. They did a good pacing of, like, going back and forth between viewpoints of the boys and, like, the 2 other people and, like, the boys and the 2 other people, they did a good it was good and tight. The one thing that I had a gripe about, the reason why this wasn't, like, a 5 or anything for me and just a 4, was because I really think, again, just like most other episodes, the, resolution is just so quick
Mhm.
and, like, without issue that it's just like, "Eh, could have
Yeah,
been a bigger fight scene."
that's also why I gave it a 4. It's like they do all this, like, world building, and then the last 5 minutes are like, "Oh, we have to wrap this up."
Yeah, which again, like, I get it because like, the point of this episode is more that and, like, in a lot of this series and season, is setting it up, right? We're setting up the world, and also we're setting up the relationship between the boys, and that's, like, the big thing I think of this
Mhm.
episode is, like, just like Skin, where, like, the real main thing is the juice between their feelings for each other and, like, how they're working through all that stuff.
Yeah, true. So for monster lore, we actually have separate here. So I gave it a 4,
I gave it a 3.
which is so interesting because usually you give it higher than me
Yeah, I was
for
waiting to talk I was excited to talk about this one because I'm interested to why you gave it a higher rating than me.
yeah, because I feel like the lore that we have was explained well and it's compelling lore, like just the small town haunted house feel, and it's just explained to us.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. Just like the main reason why is because we've already seen ghosts. We've already
Mhm.
seen this kind of thing happening. Like our last one was also ghosts. It was poltergeist, but like it was like felt different at least.
Yeah.
But this is like reminded me a lot of like the Lady in White at like the first episode because I'm just like it's just a haunting and just a, oh, we gotta find the bones and burn the body. Like it's very like
Mhm.
boilerplate. Like nothing great. Like the only thing that I thought was like cool about it at all was that some of the ghosts aren't evil inherently. Like those ghosts that were
Mhm.
like friendly. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. But like that was an
Yeah.
interesting wrinkle. But like that was more storytelling than it is anything else to me. So I was just like, it's fine.
That's true. I may have been a bit generous on this one.
Hey, if you like it, you like it. That's the point of the different varying ratings.
True. So for character development, we both gave it a 5. I think that's felt like kind of self-explanatory. We
Yeah.
learn a lot about them. There's a lot of character development in this episode.
Yeah, like I just got done saying, that's like the main point of this episode, and I think they do a good job nailing that. And you
Mhm.
can feel like them. You can feel it.
Yeah. And then in visual and direction, we also both gave it a 5. It's so good. The
Yeah.
cinematography is good. The effects are good.
The
The
location's good, and, like, it feels kind of
Mhm.
like this claustrophobic, like, abandoned asylum. Like, they do a very good job, and like you said, like, the whole, like, small town vibe too. Like, it felt very
Mhm.
much that too. So the fact that they were able to build that atmosphere and use that, and then all, like, the zombie effects or, like, ghost effects were really cool and really well done especially compared to a lot of the other ones
Mhm.
that were used in the season so far. Like, even, like, the lightning and stuff looked good, so
Yeah, it was all really great. For emotional impact, we have separate ones. So I gave it a 4.
and I gave it a 5.
Why'd you give it a 5?
I give it a 5 just because like, it's just the whole episode's just full of emotion, right? From the very beginning where they're bickering about their dad and, like, you just, like, feel bad like I said, we feel bad for the characters of, like, you can see the struggle with them of, like,
Mhm.
trying to appease their father and then also being, like, Sam not being interested in that, being more upset about it, like, you can feel a lot of the emotion, and then you learn a lot about, like, their relationships with each other and their father and all these things, and it's just I can feel for him.
Mhm.
And like what I was saying about the Dean, interaction where he was just trying to get, like, a laugh or, like, he's trying to bond with Sam or, like, get, like, something like that, and Sam's like, "Nothing." And I can tell it hurts, like, you can feel that, "Ow, that sucks." You
Mhm.
know? I just like it did a good job impacting me like that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. I mean, I know I gave it a 4. I felt everything you did. It just, wasn't as strong.
Yeah, for sure.
For rewatchability, we both gave it a 4.
Mhm.
I don't know why I gave it a 4. Sometimes I'm thinking this may have been a 5, but I gave it a 4. I would definitely rewatch this episode. The only thing I can think is maybe it's not like the top episodes. Like when I think of episodes I would rewatch that I actually remember because I don't even remember this episode.
Mhm.
That's why it's not a 5. I have a few that come to mind, and this isn't one of them.
Yeah, and also, like, for me, it's just, like, it's fun, it's good enough, it's like, I
Mhm.
would rewatch it, but I wouldn't really, like, go out of my way to watch it, right? That's why I give it a
Mhm.
4 'cause I'm like, if I saw it, I'd be happy and probably watch it all the way through, but, like, I
Mhm.
wouldn't seek it out, but
Yeah,
it's still, like, I would still rewatch it, though, so that's why I gave it a 4.
makes sense. Yeah, and then for Salt and Sass, we both gave it a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was good banter, but I don't really think there was many, like, iconic lines.
Yeah,
It
I thought there was great banter in this whole episode, even, like, the whole Sam being like, "I had a bad guidance counselor." Like, it's a funny little quip,
Mhm.
like, it had a lot of good sass for me, and even, like, the girl, like, being sassy to her date when stuff was like that it gave me a chuckle.
Yes.
So, I was like, "This is good. This is a salty one. Sassy one."
Mhm. It definitely is. So with all of that, our average score and combined score is the same. It was a 2
Mhm.
not a 2, a 4.29 out of 5.
Yeah, which is one of the I think tied for our highest rated, or at least tied for my highest
Mhm.
rated, so it's like, this is a very good episode. I would recommend this to people to watch, so
Yes, definitely me too.
yeah, let us know what you guys think about our ratings. If we were wrong on anything, or if you disagree, or if we're better or worse. Tell us what you scored it all. We can
Mhm.
compare. Alrighty, well, that brings us to the end of season 1, episode 10, Asylum. Thank you for joining us this week as we visited the insane asylum and almost became like Dean's man Jack in The Shining. Next week, we'll be discussing our mid-season review, going over all the episodes, where we are so far, the timeline, kind of like a recap of a recap of all of these episodes. So whenever you're ready, I'll see you in the archive. Bye.